people. When you study successful people, these athletes, musicians, artists, politicians, when you see them successful, one thing we learn is that, and you mentioned it, the discipline they have before the camera, before the accolades, before, because they do certain things by having discipline when no one is watching. When I read the biographies of these successful people who have confidence, you learn that they pass through a lot of pain. I read the stories of Muhammad Ali, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Tom Brady, and many, many other people. They tell you that, for example, I can give example, Muhammad Ali. He said that I start to count my setups and push-ups when it start to hurt. That's what matters for him. If it doesn't start to hurt, which means he hasn't done anything meaningful that could build his resilience and his muscle. You can see behind the scene, they pass through a lot of pain, discipline, and when we look at them successful, everybody want to be successful. I know you mentioned it actually. Nobody want to be mediocre. Nobody want to be insignificant. Right. Everybody wants. The difference is those people who succeeded, those people who are significant because they have the discipline to work hard, and all of these things add up. And when the result shows, it looks like effortless, but they've done something in the background.
Yeah.
Is that something you have seen from other people? Or what do you think is the reason why these people, because I'm trying to figure out, in my case, the answer is simple, but I want to know yours. In my case, if you have self-worth, if you have bigger meaning about your life, you don't allow to quit. You don't give up, because while passing through the pain, through the challenge, through the discipline, you're doing it for a higher cause, for a higher being, to experience fulfillment. It's not about ego or fame or money or wealth.
Right.
How do you understand that? What's that discipline? What is the source of that discipline and resilience?
So let's go back to some older science. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Most of us have studied it in school. And the highest level of Maslow's hierarchy was another self-actualization. And what Maslow wrote about self-actualization was living to our best ability, to living to our destiny, or feel like we're living our best life. And you'll hear people joke about that or say things like that, but it's really true. Now, part of the challenge is that when we start reading biographies of people like Tom Brady and Muhammad Ali and the best at what they do, we got to be careful not necessarily to compare ourselves and say, oh, that means I've got to be the best ever at what I do. We've got to be able to find that, again, balancing point between driven to get better and realizing we can still be very fulfilled and be self-actualized and have a pretty basic life, right? We can have, things that we enjoy, people, strong relationships that are important to us, a certain amount of financial success to make life, really have some zip to it and some fun. There's that fine line between saying, oh my gosh, I'm disappointed because I'm not the best that ever was. You've got to be able to have some of that drive, but be able to find that way to do it. It's one of the reasons I think Dale Carnegie's book, and you know this, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People, because he mixes in so many stories through all the 30 principles that he covers in there. And some are about extraordinary people, great leaders, great athletes, people that are famous and wealthy. And then others are about very ordinary people facing very ordinary challenges and getting through those, but using some of the same methods and techniques to do better in those situations and to achieve goals. And that's really a lot of what it comes to is finding enough satisfaction with your life and with the things you have going on, but then enough dissatisfaction to drive you to continue to get better.
Yeah, I like it. This is very important to know who you are and what your goal, your values are, and to live for these values, whatever your values are. The moment we start to compare, actually, one of the things that challenged me in terms of confidence is when I try to be somebody else,
Right.
when I try to be like this person. And I have seen that, especially when I make a shift in my profession. I see someone very successful doing that, and I want to be like that person out
Mhm.
of good intentions, but this gonna stress you out, and it brings, rather than confidence, it brings dissatisfaction because you're not being true to who you are and what matters the most for you. And what matters the most for you and who you are is totally different
Yeah.
with a lot of people out there. You have to know.
Mhm.
And actually, if I think about it, the moment you recognize who you are and what matters for you and your goal without any influence from the outside world, that's when you get this security. Okay, now I see that I have a unique life because of my story, because of my upbringing, because of what I care about. The moment you recognize that, then you stop comparing with other people because you yourself is enough. There is a quotation, I may not quote it right. It says that everybody is taken, something like that. Everybody is taken, which means I
Mhm.
have to take myself. And
Mhm.
there is another quotation which says that be your first rate yourself than the second rate of somebody else.
Yes, right, right. Yeah, very good one. It's one of Dale Carnegie's principles from How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, which is another one of his fabulous books. It, it took him 20 years to write How to Win Friends and Influence People, and to craft it and finally publish it. And then it was 9 years later when he published How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and it also has some great things. I want to give a little suggestion to any of our viewers here. If you haven't read those two books, get them for sure. They're also on audio. They're excellent. We've just updated both books. Dale Carnegie and Associates has that, by the way, and only a couple of times in the whole history of the organization have we updated those. But really great modern day updates. The other thing you can do is go on your smartphone and download this app. It's called the Dale Carnegie Golden Book, and what it does is it gives you access to all 60 principles, 30 principles from How to Win Friends and Influence People, the first 9 on how to build rapport and connect with people, the next 12 on how to begin to influence people, and then the not last 9 in that section are how to give constructive feedback or be a leader. And then you get into the principles from How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and those are dynamite principles. And one of those is don't imitate others, right? Be yourself. Just a really, really great thing for sure. So I recommend those things to anybody watching or listening.
Thank you for sharing these resources. I encourage everyone to check. I read, I believe, many of his books, some of them twice. I make sure that I read twice to capture some of the things, and I encourage everybody. The more we read, the more we stand on the shoulders of others, the more we could increase our confidence